Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Johnathan Weinberger. I am the Authorized Unity Instructor for the Ultimate Guide to Game Development with Unity, and today I am with Fatality, the first full-time professional esports player and 12-time world champion. So, Fatality, thank you for taking the time to do this show. I really appreciate it.
No problem, John. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, definitely. So, we have 60 minutes tonight. It's going to go by really quick, and there's a lot of questions here. What I really want to get to first is your timeline. How did you get started playing video games professionally?
I guess kind of like just like a cliff notes. I guess my dad bought myself a Nintendo and a PC when I was we bought our family PC Nintendo. But basically, I started playing PC games and console games back in 1985 when I was about 4 years old or so. I played a lot of different games, kind of like flight sims and so forth. I guess if people play shooter games, I'm actually an inverted mouse player. I use when I shoot, I pull back, and when I look down, I pull forward.
That's
So
insane.
everyone thinks that's a little crazy, but I think it came from me just playing flight sims at a very young age, and that's just how my mind was programmed at a very young age. And basically, I played video games kind of like throughout my whole life. I remember, I think it was in 1993 or so, was when the Blockbuster had their big tournament
Right.
for playing like NBA Jam and so forth. And I was like, wow, like maybe I can practice and like be really good at these games and see how well I do. I ended up taking first in my city for NBA Jam, and I did pretty well in Clay Fighter and like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 or whatever it was. But I ended up taking third in my city for Blockbuster tournament. So for me, that was
Nice.
like my first experience, like actually training to play a game. And I was a big Mortal Kombat fan. I used to go to arcades a lot as a kid. I remember just getting as many quarters I could possibly find and going to 7-Eleven or Aladdin's Castle or whatever arcade I could find. But yeah, I've always had a big ambition for competition, and basically most of my childhood life I played sports, and at nighttime I played video games. So that was kind of my
Nice.
thing. Yeah, it was kind of my thing.
Nice. So what was your first tournament?
My first tournament I traveled, my first tournament I guess was that Blockbuster tournament. But the first time I played a shooter game was Quake 1. And in Quake, I think it was in 1996, this internet service provider threw a tournament. And we had about like 18 to 24 people that showed up to the internet cafe to play. And I won it, and I got like a free year subscription to internet. I got a ISP, like $200 award for it basically.
Nice.
So I got internet for free for a year. So that was pretty cool. And then basically I just for the next like 3 years I just travel. I traveled to wherever tournaments I could find in the Midwest. Most of them were in Kansas City because that's where I lived, so I couldn't travel too far. But the farthest I traveled was like Wichita, Kansas, which was about 3 hours away, where I competed against like 120 college kids. I was like 15 years old, maybe 16, and I beat all those guys too. And basically, I got a cell phone that I couldn't use. I got a modem that I already had, and I got a piece of paper that says I was a champion. And
Nice. Well
so
done.
I remember going to like high school, and only 6 kids in the whole school played Quake. Because back in 1996, I mean, not many people had a computer, and not many people were bragging about playing video games back then.
Right, right.
But in algebra class, I had one of my friends who was one of the 6 kids in the school that played Quake, and I would always open up my algebra book, and I would always have the champion thing on the side, and I'd always brag a little bit to him, and that was like my highlight as a teenager playing Quake. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. Giving the guys a hard time about that.
Very cool. So being a professional esports in like 1999, obviously you were the first to do it. I mean, everyone must have thought you were completely crazy. Were your parents supportive of you going into esports?
Um, my parents weren't, well, I mean, I think if anyone knows my history, my parents went through a divorce, obviously, and went through separation. And my dad was very supportive of my competitive drive, but I really had to, kind of put down, kind of like, Dad, I need to train. I need to go to this tournament. I guess when I was a teenager, I was supposed to travel to Las Vegas to play in a pool tournament because I qualified in Missouri as one of the top junior pool players in Missouri. And so I qualified to go to Vegas to compete for 10 grand when I was like 13 years old. And unfortunately, my parents were going through a divorce at the time, so I didn't get a chance to really pursue that. And so when I turned 18 and I found about this tournament for playing Quake, where they're giving away 10 grand again for first place, it brought back a lot of memories from I never really got my chance and my shots. So I basically moved out my mom's house, moved with my dad. I offered my dad a deal. If I don't win any significant money at this tournament, I would quit this nonsense and basically go full-time school. I was already going to school at DeVry for a short period to become a programmer. I wanted to be a programmer. So basically, I had $500 in the bank account. I drove to Texas. I trained for 2 weeks down there. I was training obviously months on end before I went down to Texas, but went down there and I ended up winning $4,000 at my very first pro tournament. And yeah, I came back home and slapped the check on the table and told my dad I made $4,000 playing a video game this weekend. So it was very different from winning a free a year subscription for internet and a piece of paper. But yeah, it was definitely things were changing, and I've always aspired that I could do this. But this was my one shot that I had to really prove to myself if I even had it. And I obviously my goal was to win, right. And taking top 3 my very first tournament was very good. There were some things I need to sharpen up on my game, and I quickly fixed those mistakes I made in the tournament, and I went on to win the kind of a world championship about 3 or 4 months later when I went to represent USA in Stockholm, Sweden earlier in 2000.
And that's where you took home the big check of like $231,000, right?
No. That's like long after this is the very beginning.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. So this was 2000 now. I went there to represent USA. I won 18 games straight, losing 0 to the top 12 guys in the world.
Jeez.
Then after that, I started getting sponsored, and then I think I made about 110 grand that year. I basically went on a tear where I basically won at almost every tournament I entered, and then I won the gold medal in South Korea for the World Cyber Games Challenge, and then I won the CPL Summer event, the CPL Winter event. Nice. I was just winning a lot of tournaments, so.
That's awesome. So you got to do all this traveling, which means I'm sure sponsorships came along. So for those who don't know, Fatality has a lifestyle brand and gaming brand called Fatality Products, and you partnered with like ASRock, right, or ASRock, as well as Monster. So what can you tell us about those partnerships and how they formed?
Well, I guess to kind of go through the timeline, in 2002, I won the CPL Winter event playing a game called Unreal Tournament 2003. And that was my first time playing Unreal Tournament, but I was on MTV True Life, and basically I launched my company Fatality Incorporated during that show. And basically I started making these super large mouse pads. This one was obviously pretty stained because I play a lot of games. But yes, I made these super huge mouse pads, and basically I sold them all over Europe, all over Asia, and all over America, and basically invented the very, very first large mouse pad. If you see any mouse pad out there today, it was because I basically invented the market for a large mouse pad because I was traveling around winning with it everywhere, and eventually started making products for gamers through that. So that's basically awesome. How Fatality started.
Dude, that's actually insane. That's really cool. Okay, so that's how it started. So what do you do with ASRock now, and Monster specifically? So I guess ASRock first. What do you do for them?
So basically, it's a partnership. So typically, when as a Fatality brand, when I'm trying to work with different companies, I guess some of the back passes that they wanted to sponsor me, and basically I would turn down these companies. Says I'm not interested in being sponsored. I'm interested in a partnership. I want to make original product. I want to make Fatality product.
Right.
The biggest thing was convincing these manufacturers that they want to make Fatality product. And so I help design the products. I help give feedback and input on what I need to win. So when we're making a motherboard, obviously it being very overclockable, making sure it can withstand high heat, have good power, being stable and consistent. All these things make a really good motherboard. So I've been working with ASRock for almost 8 years now, and we've been making Fatality gaming motherboards powered by ASRock for 8 years. So
Very cool.
We really dial into like kind of the mid to high tier product line. So if gamers are looking to build a computer and trying to get bang for their buck, they'll buy a Fatality board.
Very cool. So, and when it comes to like products that you wanted to partner with, right? You weren't looking for someone who you could just slap your logo on. You were like, you wanted to be nested in the design process from the get-go.
Yeah, so just like the headphones I'm wearing right now, these are the latest products I've been making. These are, they're super durable. They're super lightweight for like super long hours of gaming. These are kind of the things I think about. Also having removable microphone, so you can have the microphone like this, and you can plug it in, and then you can unplug it.
Very cool.
So like a lot of those kind of ideas, basically when I'm inventing or designing a product for the Fatality brand, these are the kind of things I think about. And I have no interest of slapping my logo or name or brand on to products where I don't have input on the design and making sure that it's the original product. There's a lot of other companies out there that like to slap their stuff on just anything.
Right.
I always try to build my product from the ground up.
Very cool. No, it's definitely smart. I mean, it shows. For those interested, I build a gaming rig probably every year, and I use the ASRock FX 990 Killer, which has the Fatality logo on it. And dude, it's such a beast motherboard. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, we've been making some Fatality AMD boards lately. They've been doing
yeah,
pretty well.
No, they're really well. It's awesome. So, how important? What is the most important peripheral when it comes to gaming?
Well, under the Fatality brand, I would like to make, all the products for gamers. Everything from the monitor to the keyboard to the mouse, the key, the mouse pad, to the headphones. So I think all of them actually play an intricate part of your ability to play to your full potential. When I first started making the large mouse pad, it was basically because I wanted to use a lower mouse sensitivity so I can be more accurate, more precise.
Right.
So when I'm building or making a product, I'm always constantly thinking of like these like 1 to 5% edge that I can get by playing the game. So that's literally my focus when I'm building product and making product. But yeah, I mean, I think the monitor is extremely important. A lot of gamers are using 60 hertz forever. I've been using 120 hertz or more since like 1999, or the 90s, So when people like in 2013 are still using 60 hertz, it's like, it just makes my head hurt a little bit. That people have not learned how to take advantage of all the opportunities that
Right.
are available to them to play to their full potential. So that's basically why I do why I built the Fatality brand, and why I focus on trying to educate people of all these things that can really help them. Obviously, sound is really important. Hearing left, right, above, below, and so
Right.
forth. Hearing spatial things. Yeah, sound's always been a big part of it. The mouse is also a very important part. I still use optical mouse. I don't use laser. I just think optical is. I've used it
That's
forever.
really interesting.
I use 400 DPI, and even this last summer in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I was able to make a #1 in North America on the leaderboards for solos.
Oh,
And,
that's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Battlegrounds.
And I'm still using optical 400 DPI, so
Jeez. Well done.
it works.
Well done. So I want to talk about PUBG right now. So you're playing PUBG currently, is that right? That's your game. That's your go-to game right now.
Yeah, for this whole summer for about 6 months, I was 6, 7 months. I played probably an average about 6, 8 hours a day.
Jeez.
Basically, people were hassling me here on Twitch, and they were like, "Come on, you gotta play with us. You have to go for #1,"
Right.
And so at the age of 36, I was like, okay. I'll show you my old, my old strategies, my old techniques of how I train and get better at the game, and how I break the game down.
Right.
And the same as before. The strategy works. I play the game how you have to play to win the game. So that's I'm able to break games down very well. Obviously, in the shooting realm, that's my specialty. I've been a world champion at 5 different games now, but they've all been shooters. And so playing this PUBG game, it definitely makes me smile a lot. I have a lot of fun. Fragging the internet.
Yeah, I bet.
I think in my lifetime I probably killed over 6 million people already. So I've been having a lot of fun.
Dude, that's awesome. So you mentioned so all of your games that you're professional at, you just dominate the market at are first-person shooters. So is it a coincidence you're just naturally better than most at FPS types games?
I think it's just something I relate to. In shooting games, there's a lot of there's a lot of hand-eye coordination, a lot of reflexes going on. I played sports my whole life, and typically in sports, you need to be fast. You need to be able to outthink your opponent.
Right.
You need to be able to get inside your opponent's mind and basically outthink him, outplay him, outsmart him. And you have to gauge on who you're playing against. Is it a good player? Is it a bad player? Because everyone's going to react differently based on their skill level. So when I trained, throughout my career, I played against all types of people, not only just the best players, but also bad players, and also just players that never knew what they're doing, but they had good aim or something like that. So
right.
once you play against all these type of different people, you basically learn how to react to that. And it's just a lot of fun to go through the experience of breaking an opponent down and outsmarting them. It feels really good when you kill them.
Right. So does that get into sort of the little details of a game that can make you a better gamer? Like, for instance, spawn points within a map that you know how they work.
Yeah, I mean the spawn points and obviously it's a lot different now in the games today. Obviously in the arena shooter games I played, like Quake and Painkiller. In Quake, when the game first came out, it would be random spawns, right? People just spawn wherever they want to spawn. But as the game got patched and they start changing it, they started trying to cater to noobs, like people that are not good at the game.
Right.
And so they took away a lot of me kind of running the table, just killing the guy over and over again and never letting the guy get a gun kind of thing. And so they the mechanics in Quake 3 was after you die, the game picks 3 random spawn points and then it picks the farthest one away and then they spawn there. So that was it slowed the game down a lot. It made the game very boring, I thought. And then in game Painkiller, they actually brought it back where they actually had random spawns. But the one cool thing that I found out, which I think almost no one else found out, was you can never spawn in the same spawn point twice back to back. It's impossible. So knowing that information, if you're in a fight for 2 minutes, whoever deal is, and you kill the guy and you already know he can't spawn there, I know I can position myself somewhere else to take an advantage of that next kill, which could lead to another kill, another kill, another kill, and then at that point the game's already over. So for me, I'm always trying to find that 1 or 2 or 5% edge, even if it's in the game or with equipment. Those are the things I think about to win.
Right, and that right there is how you can differentiate between yourself as a pro gamer and myself, because I would have thought none of that, and I would have just been trying to go in there and guns blazing. But yeah, that's awesome. All right, so we talked about your ASRock partnership, and you're also with Monster. What are you doing with Monster?
Yeah, we've been making these Fatality gaming headsets, Fatality by Monster headphones. Basically, like I said, I just build products so I can, play long hours. So I've been wearing these Fatality FXM 200 gaming headphones for, all summer. Basically, when I was playing Painkiller, or not Painkiller, but PUBG, and they're super lightweight. I'm playing 12 hours a day, so the biggest thing is that my head doesn't hurt when I play long hours. I've had those old stereo headphones and DJ headphones and the whole 9 yards, and and just heavy headphones in general, and they hurt my head over a long period of time. So basically, I just look for comfort and clarity in when I play the games. Obviously, I'm not going to pro tournaments anymore, but when I'm here at my house and playing long hours, I'm still training like I would be training for a tournament or whatnot. And getting to number 1 in North America for PUBG for solos, it took a lot of time. I was doing 12, 14, 16-hour days. I was putting my old grind into it and putting all my energy and time and passion into it, and I loved it. The people that were on my channel supporting me to get #1 was really amazing, and
Very cool.
everyone. I was definitely very excited. I think it was, it was kind of a statement at 36. I still got it, kind of thing.
That's awesome, dude. Okay, there you go. So you just answered one question. One question that kept coming in is that people want to know how old you are. 36 you just mentioned. Also, I see a lot of questions. People are wondering, it looks like everyone's like, oh my God, Fatality's back. I guess it's been, people who followed you, almost everyone probably knows about you if you're a gamer. You've seen your product somewhere. If you've ever built a gaming computer, you've certainly seen your logo. And so one of the questions I keep seeing is, are you developing any new product? Do you have any new product coming out?
Well, I had some meetings here at CES at the Consumer Electronics Show here in Las Vegas just this last week. There is some products I'm definitely interested in making. Obviously, I'm interested in bringing back the Fatality mouse pad and bringing back different kinds of mouse pads, Fatality keyboard, do a Fatality mouse. I'm working on a lot of different things like this. I'm constantly looking at ways to evolve the brand and keep making products and keep inventing. This is my passion. I love making products for gamers. This is just my passion that I love doing besides competing in tournaments like the past. So for me, my championship is making products for gamers and helping gamers play their full potential. And,
That's awesome.
me playing here on Twitch.tv, and I'm like, after we do this AMA, I look forward to playing some PUBG with some of the viewers, whatnot. But yeah, just definitely. For me, it's just I just have a blast with all of this, and for me, it's this is really my enjoyment of kind of like the hard work of playing all those years.
Right.
I don't think people realize how much work goes into being a professional gamer sometimes. But it's extremely hard. And the hardest part is to continue it over a long period of time. And you see people get burnt out all the time. You see guys are playing League of Legends and win the world championship, and they're like, "I'm retiring. I'm done." So to play at an extremely high level and do it for a very long time is extremely tough. There's many hours where I'm getting paid nothing. You're literally you're going to the tournament to see if you can win the money. And esports is definitely a hustle. Obviously, it's getting easier and easier now with all the I think with all the hard work that we've all done throughout the years to bring esports to the level it is today. But back in the day, I'm telling you, if you weren't #1, you made nothing. It was tough for a lot of people. But today with Counter-Strike and League of Legends, Dota 2, Overwatch League.
Overwatch League just launched. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's just so many cool things, even with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds with all the money they're giving out. It's for me, it's really exciting to see because when I was doing it, I was basically the only one that was making money, and everyone else was like barely getting by. They were doing it as a hobby. It was just really hard for a lot of people.
Right. I remember when we were in growing up, when I went into gaming LAN centers. I mean, you heard your name and you were like a rock star in that industry because it's just it's like a fantasy job. No one else's parents would ever agree to say, Mom, Dad, I want to go do this tournament and travel and get all these sponsorships, but you were living that lifestyle, so it was really
it was a lot of fun, man. I'm telling you, like traveling around the world. I mean, I've been to pretty much every continent besides Antarctica to play video games. So
that's awesome. That is really cool.
I've been having a blast doing this, and it's always been my dream, and that's why I care so much about esports and continue to help it grow. Being one of the kind of the founders or pioneers of the space, I just love doing it. So I remember going to Germany back in 2000, 2001, and I used to get interviewed all the time, and they always oh, you gamers are so violent, you're violent people, and and I'm like, man, they obviously don't know what kind of person I am,
right?
But obviously in this game I'm killing everyone, right? But outside, I'm let's go hang out, let's I tell jokes and so forth,
right.
And I have a good time. So but it was a lot of that, those moments where I'm trying to defend esports and always show it in a positive light. So
right.
I've been very lucky to be kind of I don't know, what do you want to call it, a Johnny Appleseed of esports, where I just go around and tell all the good stories. But
that's awesome.
Most of the time I have the good stories, but esports has come a long way, so it's really cool to see. I'm really happy for it.
Very cool. So I want to talk briefly about the tournament styles that you did. So you played, what are the games you mostly competed in? Quake and what else?
Um, well, Quake, Quake 3, Unreal Tournament, Alien vs. Predator 2, Counter-Strike, Painkiller, Quake 4, Call of Duty. Um, Obviously, those are the games I probably played most of my tournaments in. I think I probably played a little bit of RTCW back in the day. But yeah, I just played a lot of different. I played a lot of different shooter games.
Right.
Obviously, I play other games too. Like I played like Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 and StarCraft and all those just all those old games, just
Right.
for like just to get a break from like the grind of FPS shooters. But yeah, FPS shooters is my domain.
Very cool. And throughout your tournament career, it wasn't always just 1v1s, right? You did 4v4s or 3v3s. You had a team, right?
Yeah. We had a team called Clan Capital. We were playing Quake 3 4-on-4. Actually, one of my world championships is actually from team play. So it was 4-on-4. We were undefeated for like 2 years online, and we went to a live event where they had the best teams all around the world. And we played in Dallas, Texas, and we ended up winning first place pretty
Nice.
decisively. So it was pretty cool. I was really happy to get that underneath my belt, just because people like to categorize me as like a one-on-one player, but I really do think team. I love teamwork. I love the deep connection with your teammate and so forth. I really enjoy it where you get to the point where you don't even have to talk and like you're just on sync all the time. So
Right.
it was a lot of fun playing with the team we had. We had four amazing players on the team, and we had a good coach when we played the LAN event. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was definitely it was fun building up the strategies with one of my teammates, CZM. I kind of crafted a strategy for DM6, one of the maps that we all know very well. But like if we got like these two spawn points, I had like kind of like a whole thing that we could do at the very beginning of the game, and I think in the finals we actually had the spawns happen, and we were up like 20-4 or 20-6 within the first like 2 minutes, and
That's a
that's
good
like
feeling.
yeah, it was like a huge lead, and it was just like it's mostly just common sense, but people still have to have the skill to know how to not die and
Right.
run the weapons a certain way and get in the right position and so forth. And no, it worked. It worked really well. So it was a lot of fun.
So what's more challenging, 1v1 or like teams?
Teams by far.
Yeah, because communication, right?
Finding other people that are just as crazy as me is really hard to find.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, really. How
But
did yeah? What is like your training like schedule? I mean, working. I like were all of you professional? Were all of you at the professional level full time?
Well, no. Basically, all of them were part time. They were all going to school or working. I was the only one that was actually making significant money back then. I think at that point, I made like 150 grand at that point when we won the championship, and I think like the next guy only won like 12 grand.
Oh wow.
Um, so this was definitely not full time for them, but whenever we won tournaments online, I always gave my prizes to our practice squad or to the other teammates, just because they could resell it and make some money or whatever deal is, and I was making enough money from the 1v1 stuff, so it was a way to kind of keep the practice squad happy.
Okay,
Um,
very cool.
so if we won like a motherboard or won whatever, we would just like give it away to the teammates and so forth.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So I'm just scrolling through the chat here. Looks like a lot of people are super excited to see you live right now.
Oh,
You
cool.
definitely have a lot of fans.
Thank you.
Let me see here. So I'm just gonna answer a couple other questions, and then we're gonna take a quick short break, and we'll be back. So what is the best shooter you've played? Was it Painkiller?
Um, Obviously, I think Quake was my first love. Quake 1. Obviously, Quake 3 was when I got my career started, and I really loved the beginning of Quake 3. As the game got kind of longer on the tooth, they changed a lot of the game to make it really slow, which I didn't like. And then Painkiller became like one of my favorite games, just because of how quick and how fast it was.
Right.
You could enter a room and be like less health and less armor and still outplay the guy like a million times over. I think like in one of my finals matches against one of my arch rivals, Vu, I played him, and I remember I met him like in some like corner of a hallway by the gold armor, and I landed 7 shots to his 0, and essentially taking the lead in overtime. And it was like those kind of crazy moments where you could land 7 shots and the other guy hits 0. And we're shooting rockets and grenades that have splash damage, you know. So it just shows like how much skill can be in such a tight, fast moving area. And you know, I just loved it. It was really cool. And like, you know, and the sound in the game was so important. You know, like
Right.
when you kill your opponent, you just listen to the sound. You're like, okay, is he gonna spawn left, right, top, below? Is he spawning in the other room? And I would set up like right in the center of the room to hear the sound perfectly, and then adapt to that sound and kill. And the term was called spawn raping. And
Nice. Good term. Good
but
term.
yeah, but yeah, I was really good at it, and I used the sound like crazy to win my championships, and sound was always a big part of
Yeah, I imagine.
my story.
I imagine, yeah. Like for me, you know, back to the question of like what is the most important gaming peripheral, I would say the headset is the most important one. When I was playing, I used to play, like, for me, my game growing up competitively was Halo 3, and when I didn't play with a headset, I would just get wrecked because I couldn't hear the footsteps for Jack. But
Yeah.
as soon as I turned the headsets on, I could hear everything, even across the map. So
Oh, for sure.
for me, headsets are like the most important thing. Then maybe the mouse. But I stuck with the mouse,
Yeah.
so I use a game controller. I'm the worst. All right, so
I can't believe you admitted to it.
I know. I'm a little embarrassed that I did admit to it.
All right, I'm just getting for my
So
cold.
no, it's all good. So another question is, do you have any plans to participate in any future Quake championships?
No, I don't. Like, you know, I've had teams and people ask me to do it and so forth, and I just don't feel like it's, you know, it's not really. You know, I've kind of had my time as a professional gamer. I won my 12 World Championships, and you know, if it was still during my when I was playing constantly and so forth, I mean, maybe I would have kept playing and so forth. But when basically I retired from competitive play, like in 2007, I think it was. I went on to work for DirecTV. I did some things for Championship Gaming Series, working on trying to bring esports to the mainstream. I did come back and do some exhibition matches. I set like a Guinness World Record in Quake 4, like in 2010 or something like that. I forget. And then in 2012, I did like an exhibition match with one of my old training partners that beat me in a practice game. And if he beat me, he got 10 grand. I beat him 3-1.
Nice.
Yeah. So like for me, it's like, you know, I just like making products for gamers now. I like streaming on Twitch. I like playing with the viewers. I like playing with the fans and so forth. And you know, deep down inside, yes, I do want to come back and play and compete. But you know, at the same time, I'm very content on my career and
Right.
my history.
I mean, if there was a chance, I mean, you came in first in PUBG. I mean, if you were gonna come back, would it be PUBG?
I think at this point, you know, I would have loved to play PUBG. I think that would have been a lot of fun. I think the game is just super random and entertaining. And it's just a really enjoyable game to play. The biggest thing is just finding people that you enjoy playing with. That's the biggest thing I would have, is like just trying to play with the best players out there and just elevate our game every day together. So, you know, if you know, obviously I would love to play PUBG because I that's the game I really enjoy the most right now. It's probably the most addictive game I've been playing.
Right.
But you know, like I said, I'm very content on making products for gamers underneath the Fatality brand and keep helping players play to their full potential that way. So that's my passion right now.
Very cool. So we're going to take a quick break here. For those watching on Fatality stream, he's been kind enough to let us host on his stream. We're also streaming on my channel for my community. We're a bunch of game developers, and we are basically doing game developers meet professional esport players. So we're going to be back in about 60 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and continue taking some questions as well as continuing further into the stream. So we'll be right back. Hi, my name is Johnathan Weinberg. and I've been developing games with C# and Unity for the last 6 years. I've helped thousands of developers learn to code and improve their skill sets. I currently teach game development on Udemy, an online marketplace for courses. Udemy has over 17 million students learning everything from game development to piano or cooking. Enjoy courses on any device and at your own pace with lifetime access. My course, The Ultimate Guide to Game Development with Unity, is designed to teach you the fundamentals of C# programming in Unity. We'll cover everything from receiving user inputs to creating destructible objects. By the end of this course, you'll make 2 high-quality games you can share with the world. This course is for anyone who wants to learn game development or refine their technique. Whether you're interested in game development as a hobby or you want to make games professionally, this course will grow your programming skill set and help you go on to make your own games and applications. Click on the link in the bottom left of the video player to access a special discount for this course. I look forward to teaching you more about game development with Unity and C# on Udemy. All right, so we are back, and before we start anything else, there's one thing that I know everyone's dying to know. Can you tell us your PC spec setup?
Actually, I can tell you exactly what they are right now. I have my Fatality X79 Champion motherboard. Is the ASRock Champion board. So we make basically performance, professional, and champion is kind of like our high tier. Obviously, we just released a new Fatality 299X, like for the Core i9 processors for Intel, and then also we have that Fatality AMD Ryzen chipset. But currently, my specs are the Fatality X79 Champion motherboard, Intel i7 3930K. I overclocked to 4.9 gigahertz or 4.6 gigahertz. I have a 980 GTX SLI, obviously using my my older Fatality Champion series Sound Blaster X5 titanium sound card. I am running RAID 0. But yeah, that's basically my specs currently. I have like 4 monitors here. I have like, I guess I can maybe show you real quick, just kind of like my setup.
Oh yeah,
here.
sure, yeah, show us rad.
But yeah, so here's like my whole setup. So you have the screen here is my big bright spotlight that shines on me, all the chat for all the stuff, and then obviously over here I have my server for dual PC streaming setup. But it's pretty fun. It's like I have fun live streaming and doing it all here, but it's kind of like a war zone sometimes.
That's awesome though. That's very cool. So I got a question from one of my community members. Have you ever beta test games? If so, where'd you go?
Yeah, I mean, I beta test a ton. I mean, I beta test. Quake. You know.
Oh, I imagine those developers. Yeah.
But you know, a lot of these games in general, betas were always available to people that knew how to get them. Right. And I've always been like super dialed into you know, getting stuff early and so forth since I was a teenager. Yeah, I mean, I've beta tested a bunch of different things. Obviously, I played, you know, I don't know how many betas I played. I played too many. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, people ask me to fly me in sometimes to come beta test some games, so forth here and there, and give input. It's kind of fun. It's not like a career path or anything like that. Mostly just doing it for friends who make games. But yeah, just, you know, it's just my friends like having my input. So, you know, they buy me dinner and take me out. But, you know, these are like very close friends.
Very cool.
Typically, I wouldn't do it for free.
No, yeah, I wouldn't expect you to. All right, so when it comes to playing video games, what is your take on like AI versus human form? Like, have you ever played a game that actually has legitimately well played like artificial intelligence in a game?
I mean, obviously, I played a lot of games with different kind of AI. I mean, obviously, like, you know, just, you know, when I played Quake 3 when that first came out and playing against AI in that game and like beating, what was it, Nightmare Bot, or I forget the last guy's, the last guy to kill, but Zero Bot, Xaero. He was like the final boss, and his skill was if he got the railgun, he never missed. Yeah, it was funny, you know.
That's cool. All right, so I got a question for you. So when you Google search Fatality, all right, everyone, when you Google search Fatality, it comes up as Johnathan Fatality Wendel. And one of the most popular things, and this is probably what really like gave you that celebrity status, is your MTV documentary like pops up. What can you tell us about the MTV show you had? What was it? How did it start? Tell us about the MTV experience.
Well, with MTV, they basically kind of a really interesting story, and I know this is kind of like where I talk about like kind of fate. You know, I was qualifying for a Quake 3 tournament in 2002, and basically I didn't qualify for the finals. And basically I was like, damn it, like it was kind of my own fault because I didn't train super hard for the qualifier because I didn't want to burn myself out for the main event. And but it was kind of like one of those things where everything in life happens for a reason, right? So about I guess like a week later, I got a call from MTV and says, "Hey, are you going to come play in the CPL Winter event and play Untitled Tournament?" And I was like, "Man, I've never played Untitled Tournament. I don't even know." Like, and then I was like, "Well, this is a good chance to get some good PR for Fatality and for myself and for kind of my ongoing passion of being a professional gamer." And so basically, they said, "We'll follow you. We'll go through your whole thing." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna be traveling wherever I can get practice at. I'm gonna go to all the qualifiers." And then basically they started following me around for like 4 months, training for this tournament. And I think I trained like 2 months, like super hardcore, like 8+ hours a day. And
Nice.
And then eventually I qualified and so forth, and I went to the tournament, and then I ended up winning the whole thing. And basically that instantly put me on the map, basically where they re-aired that MTV True Life episode for 13 years. It was before reality TV really existed. So
Right.
they were able to catch a true story, and it was just a massive hit. I think it was like top 3 of all True Lives ever recorded. So I got a lot of cool things for that, and yeah, it was just amazing. That's when I launched the Fatality Incorporated. I started making Fatality mouse pads, these oversized mouse pads, and I made like 50 grand in 5 months selling mouse pads. I was like, dang, this is amazing. And companies were trying to sponsor me, and then I was like, no, we're making Fatality product, and I was turning down like $100,000 a year to like sponsorship deals, and I was just very passionate about the future of
Right.
doing all of these, making products for gamers, and continuing my passion for playing video games and basically making esports more mainstream. I think that was actually the first probably ever real mainstream press that esports has ever gotten, was that True Life episode.
That's awesome. No, and I mean, as far as your passion goes, I mean, it shows in your personality. It's infectious, and it definitely shows. I see a lot every time you mention mouse pads, your fans go like nuts. They want more mouse pads. Also, you're wearing a Fatality jersey, and people want to know where they can pick one up.
Well, we don't sell them yet, but my goal is to, get things rolling in a more professional manner here soon, for people buying some of the, like the mouse pads again, some of these jerseys and Fatality wear. I constantly think about all these things. I just like making products for gamers, and I'm working on getting that more flushed out. But for now, I mean, most people, if they want to buy Fatality products, they can go to Amazon or Newegg.com, and they can buy the Fatality motherboards or the Fatality headphones.
Very cool. And if you want to learn about like a lot of his vision and his goals and everything like that, you can also go to fatality.com. All right, so a little bit back to your tournaments and preparing for matches. What did you do before each match to make sure your reflex and mindset was 100%?
Well, I guess my history was, I ran about 2 miles every day. I was super fit for a gamer.
Yeah, I was about to say, said a gamer never, but that's amazing.
So I was just looking for like I said, I was always looking for ways to be one step ahead of my opponent. So when these tournaments happen, I mean, the day 1, day 2 of tournaments, you usually don't play against the best players. You play against the best players on day 3, day 4. And typically some of these gamers are getting tired. They're getting worn out from all the matches and the stress or whatever deal is. And that's kind of where I shine at, because I have all the energy in the world. because I've been taking care of myself. I've been eating healthy. I'm not drinking soda. I'm eating fairly healthy. I'm running every day. So those were kind of the things that I think gave me a step up on my opponents. Obviously I practice. I think everyone here on the channel knows practice, practice, practice. That's the only way, guys. That's the only way. Gotta practice.
It's funny.
So that was like my motto on MTV, and I was, when I showed up to a tournament, people knew I was serious. So I didn't really hang out much in like common lobbies with people. I didn't hang out with the other gamers. I especially didn't hang out with people that were in my skill bracket that much. Because I wanted to instill fear in them. I wanted them to be scared of me. I wanted them, when I came to play, they knew they were playing against someone that's coming to win. Right. And so I had a very unique way about getting ready for my matches, and I would shake my opponent's hand before the match started and say good luck, and we go for it. And in the 15-minute game or whatever it was, I played till the 15th minute mark. I didn't care if I was up 40-0. I want to win 45-0. So for me, it was always about you want to beat your opponent into submission, where never give him an inkling of like, oh, I could have had him if I would have done this or that. So I always want to keep doubt in my opponent's mind, and I was able to do that very effectively. Most of the time, like if one of these like 1% or 5% things happen and I get rolling on my own terms, the game's over. So so I was just always looking for these moments, and and it worked. I think I won probably 60 or so tournaments. I think I took top 3 over 90% of the time.
Nice.
So I was very dominant in my space, and I had my dad always said there's always someone training harder, and that was why I trained and practiced so much, because I was like, that's not possible. I'm training the hardest.
Right.
And so I sacrificed everything as a young adult to be a professional gamer and be the first, and it paid off. Definitely one of those good stories where it all came out on the side pretty well. So pretty excited about my hard work. It paid off, but not everyone sees all that hard work. It goes unnoticed, but when you see the results at tournaments, that's when okay, I guess he did something more than we did.
Right, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, like what you do, it's a skill, and practice is how you get better. It's the same thing for game developers. Game developers were software engineers. The only way you're going to get better at making games is to practice coding anything. So it's we can relate.
Exactly.
So as far as competitions go, so you always competed in person through LAN. So what is your, did you ever compete online with your team? Did you ever do any online competitions? Like recently, I know PUBG recently did like an online tournament, I believe. Did you ever compete
online tournaments all the time?
Yeah. There's all over the place. So did you ever compete in any of them?
Yeah, I've been playing in online tournaments since like the mid '90s. But I think obviously team play. I played most of my team play tournaments online, like the 4-on-4s and whatever, capture the flag. I played all those online. But the big ones that really count are the ones that are on LAN. So the term is like, do it on LAN, and like you can do it in your home, in your basement, your grandma's house, but you can't. Can you do it at the tournament? So people are always talking smack, and it's always fun. Like it makes me smile. But it was do it on LAN. If you can't do it on LAN, it doesn't count. So I played tons of tournaments online. But typically, whenever I train practice, I always had like a dedicated server set up on my own network. I had people join my server to practice and train. And I really didn't care about winning online tournaments that much, especially like in 1v1. I can't even remember the last time I played a one-on-one tournament online. Literally, it had to been like the 1999 was the last time I played a one-on-one online tournament.
Wow.
After that, I only played on LAN because, if you don't practice what this tournament's going to be like, how are you going to know what it's going to be like? For me, I always practice on LAN because the things you can do on LAN, you can't do online because the ping times are too high. It's just not the same fight.
Right.
there's certain things you can do on LAN, and there's certain things you can do online that you can't do vice versa. And so like going up a jump pad and trying to get through the teleporter online, I could do it all day because no one had a good enough aim to be so accurate with the high ping. But on LAN, you cannot do it. It's like it's totally against the rules, like winning. So these are the things that I learned from those experiences, and and I think that gave me an edge on my opponents. Like I just knew more about the environment than most people knew. I knew I knew the lay of the land. I knew what was possible, what was not possible, and I knew how to play the odds.
Man, dude, that is awesome. I mean, I think everyone in the stream right now can agree that the timeline and your entire history of becoming esports professional to where you are today is nothing shy of incredible.
Thanks.
And it looks like, let me see here, we only have about 8 minutes left. I told you this was going to go super fast. There's so many things I still want to ask.
It did go fast.
So as an esports brand, so today, esports is massive. I mean, esports, I believe is valued at a little over $400 million worldwide today. I mean, given the opportunity, would you have, do you think that you were the part of the reason it got to where it is today?
No, I think everyone had their hand in the creation of how big esports is today and so forth. I think I had a big part in popularizing it. And making it, kind of an example for a lot of gamers out there. I mean, if you look at a lot of the gamers today, they're all, creating their own brands just like I have, and they're all trying to create their own products.
Right.
A lot of them are just slapping their names on products, but I'm trying to be original.
Right. And that's like the huge differentiating factor here is you actually get in on the ground floor and build these gaming products versus, these other guys they're taking the sponsorships and they're just slapping a label on it and essentially selling out.
But that might be all that's available for them too. Like right. It's it's not like it's super easy just overnight to do these kind of things. I mean, but yeah, I mean it's it's been amazing to be kind of at the forefront of the whole thing and kind of pioneering the whole idea of you can be a professional gamer. And today, with all the outlets, with Twitch, with YouTube, and especially with how far pro gaming has come now, I mean, there are so many people making money playing video games, and not only playing the games, but entertaining or having a job associated around that genre of work or whatnot you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely take a lot of pride in being one of the guys who was the first at it. And, I've been trying to lead a very good example for a very long time. I got a lot of good advice when I was younger. I mean, I'm not sure if you remember the gamer Thresh, but Dennis was one of the first guys who, he won a Ferrari for playing a game called Quake. And I thought that was amazing.
Oh, yeah, well done.
Yeah. So and he was one of my idols, I guess, as a young kid, in the sense this guy won this playing a video game, and he wasn't a full-time professional gamer. He was doing it as a hobby. He still had work and doing other stuff, and he was making money doing everything he does. And he became extremely successful in the esports or in the gaming world, or I guess wherever you want to call it. But he runs Plays TV now and Raptor and so forth.
Very cool.
But his advice was make sure you always set the bar as high as possible, because if you're the number one guy, you got to make sure you leave room for everyone else. So a lot of my career was like turning down deals all the time, just because if I don't set the bar as high as I possibly can, what am I doing for people that took second place in the tournament, or third place in the tournament?
Right.
So my whole career, I've always just trying to set the bar as high as possible, so that us gamers don't get taken advantage of. And that was kind of my whole passion and drive every day. When I say no to a $100,000 sponsorship deal, most people think you're crazy.
Sure.
But I had a very big ambition for what I want to do, and I saw these huge corporate companies taking advantage of us gamers, and that's why I started the Fatality brand. Just because I was like, this is just not how it's going down. Like, I'm not gonna, I was in a position where I had the power to make this happen, and I just stood up to the challenge. So that's how I got to where I am right now.
Very cool. So the final thing I wanna wrap up here is today. If anyone today, esports has gone global. It's a massive industry, $400 million. If someone was interested in getting started in esports today, how do they do it? And I believe you're coming up with a solution to that.
I'm coming up with a solution to help the whole esports scene kind of like more flourish, I guess you could say. The first thing is like what I've always asked myself is if someone walks up to you and says, "How do you get into esports?" What's your answer?
Right.
No,
I have
no
no,
one,
I have no idea.
no one has really an answer to it. So I've been working on. I just started up this new company called Ready Up. It's readyup.com. We just now got kind of our first round of funding and so forth. We're still raising some money, but I think we've passed the 1 million mark already now.
Nice.
So that's been very exciting. So we are building it, yeah. So basically, our goal is to connect, individuals with teams and help teams find players. So we're trying to, and also give them tools so they can help manage their teams. So if you're, say if you're an amateur team trying to go pro, or you're a pro team trying to be more organized, you would use Ready Up for our services of managing your team, helping you find players if you're looking for players, and if you're an individual looking for a team, we can also help you find a team, so you can potentially find people that are like-minded as you and want to accomplish the same things you want to accomplish. Now, not all gamers want to be world champion esport players. They might just want to casually play. So if people want to casually play, we still offer the same kind of connectivity there as well. And we're trying to basically reduce the barrier of entry to people getting involved in esports on any level, from a beginner that just wants to play on a weekend because they have a 9-to-5 job, they work 5 days a week, and they can only hang out and have a good time on the weekend, or someone that, hey, I got 4 hours a day, I want to take this kind of serious, but I want to see how far I can take it and then make a decision then. Our goal is really to kind of create this like kind of a 1, 2, 3 step, where people, team can find player can find team. We give you management tools to organize those teams. So say like, hey, practice at 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. everyone gets like an invite, and they basically, okay, there's these positions available in Overwatch. You have a DPS, you have a healer, you have a tank, you have a support, and basically people would ready up and say, hey, I'll play that position. Oh, I'll be there at 7. So instead of like sending out a million text messages or talking through a million different programs, we try to simplify it through one source, which is Ready Up. And with that, we'll also suggest to you like, hey, there's some online tournaments that you guys are all available for this weekend for you can play in. And we want to help tournaments get more people in their tournaments, so our goal is to really kind of full circle help the community, help the publishers as well. You look at games like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, they don't have a whole lot of infrastructure for like teams and so forth. Everything is kind of done ad hoc, like outside of it. You're using Discord, you're using Facebook groups, using Google Hangouts, like using whatever you can to organize your team, and we're trying to build that all into one platform with Ready Up. So that's our passion with Ready Up, is not only helping the gamers out, but also helping the publishers and the game developers, help them create more continuity with the community, so you can have them play in your tournaments and events and get them started.
Dude, that is awesome. Very excited about that. Congrats on the funding. Hopefully it continues to rise, and we'll definitely, my community will definitely be following readyup.com. I believe right now, if you go to readyup.com, you can actually submit your email for more information later on when it's released and all that fun stuff. So definitely go check it out. That puts us out of time. And I just want to say, again, Fatality, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for allowing us to host it on your Twitch. That's super awesome of you. And
dude, thanks, man.
Yeah, definitely. No, this was really fun. And guys, hang around, because in about, how long you said, 5-10 minutes, you'll be back up playing PUBG.
Yeah, I'm gonna relaunch the stream, and we're gonna play some PUBG tonight, and we're gonna keep practicing.
All right, good deal. So for my community members, next week we have Johnathan Jennings, who is the game developer for Animal Planet, as well as he worked on VR for Ghostbusters. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you next week. Thanks.
See you guys.